Hey guys, so I said I was going to make this video well over a month ago, but if I don't just do some kind of informal iPhone video, I feel like this is never going to get done. So now that I'm feeling a little better, we've been trying to get a lot of school done. And so I just haven't had much time to sit down and make a chatty kind of a video. Anyway, so I am in my 15th week of my fourth pregnancy. And so I thought I would do like a first trimester recap sort of, or at least up to this point. I'm not really sure like how many videos I'll make, but oh well, we'll see. Maybe each trimester, just do a recap. So here is where we are. So from the beginning, way back in like the very first week of July, I had my suspicions that I thought I was pregnant, but I didn't really want to get too excited or try to test too early or anything, so I waited until, I don't think it was probably like July 7th or 8th, and I had two girlfriends who knew that we wanted another, so I'd kind of always been keeping up with them, and I took a test. I bought like a 3-pack of the, what are they? The early, what is it called? First response, you know. Okay, so I bought a 3-pack of those, and I thought I saw maybe a little line, but then I was like, no, that's totally gray, so I don't know, maybe it was too early or something. And then, so I was like, I'll wait a week. And then a week later, oh, I totally didn't make it a week. I think it was like 4 or 5 days later. I took another one, and I hadn't told my husband, but he had his suspicions too. He kept saying, like, you know, every time I do something weird, like food thing, he'd be like, Abby, are you? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? No, totally not. Or I'd be like, it's way too early to know, so just hold your horses. But in my head, like, I just swore that I was. So anyway, I took the second test, and it was negative, definitely negative. So I was meeting my girlfriend at the beach that day, and I told her like, oh man, it was negative. I for sure should have known by now, especially those like early result ones. When I got the negative on that, I was like, okay, the other one was just like an evaporation line. I'm for sure not pregnant. So I told my friend at the beach, and she was disappointed, but you know, whatever. It's just hard when you have your hopes up and you really think you are, then you find out that you're not, and we've been there, done that. So then the next day, I was at the beach with my other girlfriend, and I told her, like, I could have sworn I saw one, but it must, you know, then the other one was definitely negative. And she was like, well, what time did you take it? And I said, well, I took it at like 3 o'clock. And she was like, you're supposed to take those first thing in the morning. Did you try first thing in the morning? And I was like, what are you talking about? So somehow with having 3 kids already, I totally missed the memo that you're supposed to take those tests like the first time you wake up in the morning. So I took the test the very next morning, and it was like blazing positive. And I had all these ideas of how I was going to tell my husband, but every single time I just freak out, and I'm like, get in here, and done. Like, it's not even cute the way I tell him. Anyway, so later though, when I was looking at the box, I realized that I did not get the early result one anyway. So when I saw that, I was like, wait, so then how far along am I if it's already this positive, and it's not even the 6 days early one, it's just like the first day of your missed period one or something. So then I was really confused. My midwife was in Cuba, so I could just email her assistant, who said she thought they had room for me, but they weren't sure. I wasn't sure when I was due. So anyway, so I have a couple of notes here. See, points I want to remember. Where am I going? Oh yeah. So the first reason I thought I for sure was pregnant was because I had this like really weird back pain that I can only remember from my pregnancies. And I had been doing PIO for the Beachbody PIO program for months and months, never had hurt my back. So I was pretty sure it wasn't from that. And then just those the weird nausea, like with when you smell, you know, when you're taking out the garbage, just the kind of nausea, you know that kind of nausea. And then I also had that super metallic-y taste in my mouth, which I'd never experienced with the other kids, but I'd always read that as an early symptom with them, but I hadn't experienced it with them. So that is how we found out. So at first we didn't tell our kids or our family. Our kids would totally tell our family. We didn't want to get their hopes up because we have had 2 miscarriages before. So I wanted to wait until we had a chance to hear the heartbeat or see the heartbeat in an ultrasound or, you know, whatever. But I think when I was 8 weeks, my midwife had just gotten back in town and confirmed that I could have an appointment. They had plenty of room for me. I just couldn't wait any longer because I was so sick at that point and really tired, and I just knew like I had to tell my kids because, you know, they knew something was going on, and I just didn't want them to think I had this, you know, that I just had an attitude with them or that I was just a really boring, lazy mom. So how we told them was we told our kids and my parents at the same time. We had them over for dinner, which is normal. I think it was just a regular Sunday night dinner, and we had made dessert, which is normal. And I had kind of worked it out to where I got one of my kids to ask to put candles in the cake, to blow out the candles. They love doing that anyway, so it wasn't hard to kind of like poke at them to get them to say, hey, can we put candles in? So I was like, yeah, totally, we can put candles in. So I said, whose birthday is March 6th? And my daughter was like, me. So I put the candle in. I did that for each of their birthdays. And then I said, whose birthday is? And I'd set our due date. And they all looked at each other and they didn't know. And my mom was sitting there and she was like, come on, guys, come on. And I was like, how does she know? And she's not reacting. I thought she was just like, well, it's another baby. But when the kids were like, we don't know who, Grandma. And she's like, the dog. And I was like, no, Harley's birthday is in October. And she was like, the rabbits? And we were like, no, because we have basically a zoo at our house. We were like, no, it's not the rabbits. And it took them so long. They named like everyone they knew. They were like, they couldn't figure it out. And then John started laughing. And my mom was like, wait, what? And they had no idea. So my parents start hugging us and the kids still have no idea what's going on. Finally, Bella caught on. She got really excited. And my boy still had no idea. So, well, I mean, of course, my youngest is 2.5, so he really has no idea. My other son's 5, and I thought, like, everyone's hugging and talking about 4th baby. And finally, we were like, Bella, why don't you tell Jessie what's going on? And she looked at him and she goes, Jessie, we're going to go to China. Because it must have been over a year ago. When she had asked us if we were going to have another baby, we said that we wanted to adopt from China one day. And so, you know, maybe she'd have a sister because she'd be from China. And so ever since then, she's kind of had, you know, she's had this like interest in Chinese culture, you know, oh, one day I'll have a sister from there. And so I guess it just hadn't crossed her mind that for whatever reason, she thought it was more likely that we were going to China than that I was pregnant. So then we told her, no, mommy's having a baby. And then it was just like, ah, and they were so excited. And then with John's family, we were getting ready to go on vacation with them. And we had rented a really big cabin. And I think it had 6 bedrooms. And so we were breaking down the rooms. So we called them on a conference call because it's really hard to get everyone together. And we said, okay, we're going down the list. We signed the contract for the cabin, and we just have a couple questions. Okay, we have, and there's 10 people in his family that were going to be there, including the 5 of us. And we said, okay, so there's 11 people on this contract. And his parents were like, no, there's 10. And they thought there was like a discrepancy in the contract and we were going to get in trouble or something. And they weren't getting it at all. And we kept saying, like, we were really, like, being really goofy, and we thought they would for sure know what we were talking about. Again, like, no, I guess we totally blindsided everyone in our family, because nobody really knew we wanted another kid. And so we were like, yeah, and we named everyone, then John said, yeah, me, Abby, and the 4 kids. And they were like, no, that's 10. No, that's 10. And they kept saying that. And then his dad goes, 4 kids, no, you guys have 3 kids. And his mom's like, oh yeah, come on guys, you guys have 3 kids. And then it was really quiet and they were like, wait, what? And they did the same thing. Oh my gosh. And then, so it was just, you know, excitement all around. So that's how we told everyone. That's how we found out, all that. So now into the not fun stuff. My symptoms for the first trimester were pretty much what I've always experienced, except my fatigue was way worse. So, and then I'm always nauseous. It's always the very beginning of my pregnancy, just terrible nausea. With my daughter, I was nauseous all the way through postpartum. With my boys, I was nauseous and vomiting until about 20 weeks. Now, I've never just been nauseous. I've always had like nausea and vomiting all day long. It just goes with the territory. So that's why we very carefully consider our pregnancies, because it takes away from our kids quite a bit with how much time I have to give to them. So this time around was no different. Very sick and vomiting. But toward the middle of all of my days, I wasn't nauseous anymore, and that is totally new for me. So then after about lunchtime, instead of just being nauseous, I was like craving food. So it was really different for me to actually experience cravings instead of just having nausea and not being able to stomach anything. So then, of course, I was worried, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain weight this time because I never did. You know, with the others, it's so vain. But, I mean, you know what I mean. Every mom thinks like that, right? And so, yeah, it was just a different kind of nausea this time around. It was very weird. So I definitely was craving meat, which if you've watched my videos, you know that it's not a huge staple in our diet. So that was very strange. But every day, right at lunchtime, I really wanted some kind of like chicken or beef or anything, like anything heavy. And then all of my aversions to food were fresh chopped veggies, fresh foods, like all those raw, you know, spinach and salads and all the things that I normally love to eat. So I was struggling a little bit with eating the things that I don't like and not wanting things that I do like and know are good for me. So I'm relieved that that stage is behind me now. I also couldn't really stomach water, which sounds super weird, but I always had to have like some juice mixed in the water, just the flavor, the taste of water would, I have no idea why, but, and then coffee, and coffee is something that has always been, out the window from the first week I know I'm pregnant until I have my babies, and I love coffee, and it totally stinks. It's really sad for me to let that go, but I always get, the smell, even the smell of coffee is just, my husband might end up having to make coffee in the garage because it's like the one thing that will set me off. So yeah, I've been exhausted, but that also is starting to end now, so that's been really relieving. But like no other pregnancy, I have been completely exhausted this time, which means that my exercise regimen has gone downhill. I'm trying, but it's been really difficult. So yeah, I'm finally through all that stage, and so far I have not gained any weight, but that always changes for me toward the end. So I've always gained about 25 pounds with all of my pregnancies, but never really started that weight gain until my second trimester, which I'm in now. So I probably will by my next appointment. So we do know the gender. I know I'm only 15 weeks, and we don't have our anatomy scan for a while, but we did the Harmony test. It's the cell-free DNA blood test. I just don't know if I trust it. If you have had that test, let me know, because I'm having a really difficult time trusting it. So I do have like a smaller ultrasound scheduled in a couple of days. If we are able to tell then I will share it on Facebook, but otherwise, I'll share it on YouTube, but otherwise I won't know for a little while. So if you see a video pop up in a few days, then our ultrasound confirmed what that Harmony blood test told us at 10 weeks, which it seems so crazy. I think I'm just apprehensive because it just seems crazy to know what you're having before you can even feel any kicking or movement or even really look visibly pregnant. So I've never known this early, and it seems really bizarre to me. So And then the last thing I have here is why we chose a midwife. So this is different for us. We have used the same doctor for all of my pregnancies, and I absolutely love him. I love that practice, and I've had great experiences in our hospital. We've had, by luck, had unmedicated births. I have asked for epidurals, but I always asked too late, so it never worked. But other than that, we have had, always had great nursing staff and always really enjoyed it. But I switched to my midwife as my well woman care, and I just totally fell in love with her and her practice. And a home birth was something I really wanted for my third pregnancy, but I wasn't totally comfortable with the thought yet. But I couldn't shake that throughout my third pregnancy. And so this time around it was a no-brainer. And even when we had Eli in the hospital, my husband and I looked at each other and we were like, we just want to be home. We don't want to be here. So it's just a feeling of, we also got there like 30 minutes before he was born, so it was kind of like the rush was for nothing. We could have just had him at home. But we've had no complications, very healthy, big babies, and I always have had my kids between 37 and 38 weeks. So no major issues as far as needing to birth in a hospital. But the main reason that we really wanted to do a home birth was because of that 2-day period where you're just stuck at the hospital and you really, really crave being with your family. I know some people love that postpartum stay, but I really hate it. And I've always just I feel trapped in there, and I just want to be home. So it makes me feel more relaxed as far as nursing and everything. So we're really excited about this. And I couldn't be more excited about my midwife. I do love who my doctor was, and if we have complications, he would be my first choice as far as wanting to go with him. But there's just something about the quality of care that I'm receiving from my midwife that makes me never want to go back. Even though we had a great experience, I just would never want to go back. I get to have my kids at my appointments, which is great. She lets them help with the heart, hearing the heartbeat and all that kind of stuff. It's really comfortable. All my appointments are an hour long. They're not very invasive. It's just very low-key chit-chatting, and it just definitely feels like I'm chatting with my sister, but who's really knowledgeable about babies and birth. So it's a very relaxed environment, which I really, really appreciate. So the last thing then is insurance with the home birth and payment and all that. So I know that home birth is not, I just found out that it's not technically legal in every state. It is in the state of Florida, and I believe that insurance companies are also required to pay at least a small portion of a home birth. Now, for some people, I know that works out to only being 20%, just whatever the insurance can get away with paying. My insurance pays 70% of the cost with the midwife that we chose, and so we are only responsible for about $2,000 of it. If we were doing a hospital birth, which is about 3 times the cost of a home birth, my insurance would cover all of it for some reason, but that's just the way it goes. And so thankfully we were expecting to have to pay around $5, but we only have to pay around $2. So that's a huge relief and very exciting for us. We're thankful that our insurance company is, works with you. So I called them, and my midwife is out of network, but there is no in-network midwife within 2 hours either way. So they had no choice but to give me their in-network rate, which was awesome. So that's it. That's my first trimester recap. I probably missed a bunch of stuff, but I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to talk about on these pregnancy videos. So if you have any questions or suggestions for my next recap video, let me know. And like I said, hopefully, fingers crossed, in just a few days, my little ultrasound will confirm what the Harmony test, the DNA test said. I know it's supposed to have a 99% accuracy rate, but it's still just I am having a really hard time trusting it when I haven't even really seen this baby yet. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that if you've had that done too. So yeah, any questions or anything like that, go ahead and write in the comments below. And as always, check out my Instagram, my Facebook page. I'm linking those below as well. And I will talk with you guys later. Bye.